Hello and welcome to another OperaUpCloser episode with your host Abby, the trainee producer at OperaUpClose. I'm joined today by Neil Balfour. He's done some collaboration work with us in the past on previous productions. Neil, would you be able to just tell the audience a little bit about yourself and sort of the work that you produce and the work that you do?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Abby. Yeah, my name's Neil. I am primarily a baritone, mainly in opera and song. That I'd say that's my bread and butter. But alongside that, I'm also a voice coach. I call myself a holistic voice coach. Because of my own experience, I like to take in sort of the whole package of a person when I'm coaching them. I'm also a voiceover artist, primarily for children's voiceover stuff, but I have done commercials and e-learning, things like that. And I don't call myself a composer because classical composers are way more talented than I am. So I call myself a minimalist composer. So I really enjoy making music with lots of space. I like to think about it as small music for big thoughts. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, that's so lovely. That sounds so great. Is that sort of what was the main thing? Because I know that you've got so many things going on, which is just so incredible. What sort of the main thing when you were growing up? What specifically did you want to be? Is this very much the career that you were sort of aiming to go into? Was there anything that inspired you? Did you like switch paths later on? What sort of journey did it take you to get here?
So the answer is no. This is definitely not what I thought I was going to do. Absolutely not. And if I'm honest, I think it's probably not what I'll be doing in 10 years. I use this really nice little meditation app called Insight Timer. It's totally free. This is not a plug. I'm not supported by them or anything like that. And they have these quotes, which, if you're open to them, are awesome. If you're not, they were very cheesy. And today's was it was an Einstein quote. And, I should fact check this because this could be rubbish, couldn't it? This couldn't even be Einstein. It said, "A true sign of intelligence is the ability to change." Um, it's something I definitely struggle with, but it definitely highlights really that question for me. So when I started out, I had piano lessons and I think classical guitar lessons, and that was definitely mum and dad going, "This will be good." And then I discovered punk rock and metal, and all I wanted to do was that. So I I mean, I thought I was original at the time, but I basically just wore black, grew my hair out, put colours in it, and was in a punk rock band, and we toured till like I was 17. And then I realised, as cool as that was, there's basically no money. I mean, we got paid in beer sometime, at like 15, 14, we got
Yep.
paid in beer. It was a different time. I then decided, do you know what? Classical music, I've come round to it. Let's do it. So I quickly did some grade eights. I mean, obviously, I'd been learning before then. I didn't just, like wonder child go and do a grade eight. And I went and studied piano at Leeds. It's now called Leeds Conservatoire, but it was Leeds College of Music at the time. And there was a place that I loved. Like a lot of people at university, you sort of discover yourself. You try lots of things out. But Leeds Conservatoire at the time, I don't think it specialised in anything, but it had everything. So I learned Indian music, jazz music. I used to play for the pop course. I made electronic music, electroacoustic music. I learned how to use studios and DAWs. And also, I met this amazing woman that was like, "You seem up for anything. Do you want to be in an opera?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right." I had no idea what to do. And I got this really big role in this opera. And I must have been terrible. I really must have been terrible, but I enjoyed it so much. It started a train of thought that eventually led me to go and be an opera singer.
That's so brilliant. Did you take specific lessons in singing beforehand? Like, was singing always something that you had liked beforehand as well? Was it just specifically musical instruments beforehand?
Yeah, it was mainly instruments, but as the, in inverted commas, lead singer of a punk rock band, I did sing. But honestly, I really didn't sing until I was about 21. So it was really late. And you can imagine the imposter syndrome you have. You know, I'm up against theatre kids and people that have had all this training using words like passaggio and support. I was on the back foot. So I did have lessons with this woman was called Jane Anthony at Leeds Conservatoire, and yeah, I had lessons for a couple of years, and then I just went for it. I applied to do my masters as an opera singer at the Royal Northern College of Music, and to my absolute surprise, I got in, and yeah, then I was the underdog. I remember that first day vividly, because you know you're dreaming of it, you go for it, I've put in all the work, and then you get there, and the reality is these people are really good, and they know lots about the industry, and I was not only doing my masters, but I was learning how to sing. And Jane said to me a really, really interesting phrase which stuck with me. She said, "I think you're going to be a really good singer. You just don't know how to sing." Which is mad, totally mad. But with hindsight, I really embrace it now, because being an underdog in a competitive creative industry, there can be a positive there, an advantage. People weren't looking at me, so I was able to just do my work. But when you go in somewhere and you're expected to be good, as I'd say I experience a little bit now, that's a different kind of pressure. I think I like being the underdog more than being expected to be fantastic.
No, I completely get what you mean there. That's so interesting though, that like, because you have such a strong voice, especially as a baritone, it's so interesting to know that you only really started learning when you were like 21.
Mm.
That's just it. I mean, it really does show that like it's never like too late to sort of learn to do something, because it's very much the fact that you can completely switch up career paths like in at different points in life, and it still can be meaningful to you. I mean, change is just part of life at the end of the day, but that's just really really incredible. Personally, did you so you said you went to college, what sort of things were you studying at like college, university then? Like, what were the actual like courses that you took, like?
Yeah, so my undergrad at Leeds College of Music, that was called a Bachelor of Arts in Music. So essentially, it was a music degree where my first instrument was the piano, but because it was an arts degree, there was loads of writing. And I wasn't very good at writing, really. So yeah, I now know I have autism and ADHD, so and it explained a lot about why the writing was hard. So that was that course, and then when I went to the Royal Northern College of Music, I did opera studies. So I was a vocal student in the vocal department studying opera, and that was a performance degree. I also did an extra year, which is a postgraduate diploma, but really for singers, the extra year is another year of that muscle training and experience. And whereas my undergrad was a discovery of what do I like, I was doing things like playing session keys for bands at, the Leeds Festival and all that kind of stuff, thinking I was absolutely it. And also the local symphony orchestra, trying to conduct them, trying to compose my first Indian raga. I was just trying everything. And when I was a classical singer, it was really different. I was just doing that, and I was going for gold. I was going, right, let's put all my eggs in this basket, and what does it look like to be as good as you can in this? So I was singing for some companies and then thinking, well, I'll try next sort of rung up and up and up and go like that. So quite different experiences, really.
What sort of bits brought you to do, because I know that you do so many different things now. I know that you do, like you said, you're a holistic coach and you do like voice acting and stuff like that. What sort of bit is it, these things that you sort of like pick up along the way, and sort of things that you like, oh yeah, I'll give that a try sort of thing? Or are these also things that you tried all near the beginning and are very much like have developed like individually for a long while? What sort of, how did you sort of get into those bits?
So it's interesting because you say, it's so varied, so many different things. To me, because those things are really not easy, but they're things I really enjoy, it doesn't feel like I'm stretched. There have been times in my life where I've been really stretched, and it's just because I've been doing things that they just didn't align with like my natural affinity or like interest or talent or whatever. So a lot of these things came sideways. And if I'm ever asked, like about young budding creative careers, I'm always like, embrace the sideways, because it is so rare that I see people who are doing well that had a straight line trajectory. I mean, it's almost never. I actually can't tell you someone that's had that. What I normally find is someone that goes, I studied theology, and then I joined the local choir, and now I'm an opera singer. That's more common than the other way around. It really, really is. And I think, in a way, the education of young people in any of these industries could embrace that more, because I mean, music art itself, getting a bit out there now, but it's abstract, and your journey there is often abstract. So the voiceover stuff, I had a neighbor who was like, oh man, I've got this voice actor that's let me down. He's like, would you give it a go? And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to take any money for it. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I loved it. And it just happened to be one of these things. So the voice acting, you get the script in the moment, and they go, cool, I don't like that. Could you try this accent, and could you be dopier or happier? If that sounds like stress to you, what a horrible job. But if you're like me and you're like, I don't have to prepare, I just have to use like what I've got, it's a job from heaven, really. So I love that when I can get it. And then the voice coaching, that's essentially offering people what I've learnt to do what I do right now. It just feels like an extension of that. I do quite a lot of research, actually, because since I've been voice coaching for a bit, if I meet someone that isn't like me, they need an access route that I don't know about. So the way I see my research is to find out the other options that they might need, if that makes sense. And then the composing, so that is a bit different to everything I do. And that, circling all the way back, is because recently I've really missed being creative, which sounds crazy. But when you make your art, your work, you can lose creativity. So I've gone back to being a teenager and going, I just want to make music with things that I find cool, and that's that. So that at the moment is not something I monetize. It sometimes does. It's just so that as a musician, I've got a creative outlet that is just because.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally having a conversation yesterday with a couple of different people about the fact of making your hobby your career can be, there's so many advantages to it, because it is just like you're doing what you love. This is insane, but it's taking the time to appreciate what you're doing, because it's so easy that you can lose creativity and lose motivation, because you're doing it consistently, and also you're not able to do it in your free time. It's very much like where you're doing it for work, when you want to sort of like wind down, you wouldn't go off and go do it if you're already doing it all day for work and stuff. So it's like, I was speaking to a couple of people yesterday about a lot about finding the balance and being able to sort of sit back and appreciate and be like, wow, like I do actually do this for work. Like this is like that I am doing what I enjoy, because it's so easy for you to sort of have a look at it and then you're constantly doing it, and it's very much like not losing the enjoyment, but losing sort of creativity a little bit, and like losing like that imaginative side that you might have had before. Do you get what I mean?
Totally. I think that's something that's really overlooked, especially when you're studying. And I think maybe my opinion will change on this because it has changed in the past. But nowadays, I really think that if you love music and you love singing, let's say, and you want to earn your money from singing, there are things you need to know about that. Number one, your body now makes money. And that's a really, really tough thing to manage. Like, quite literally, the way you speak every day, what you eat, with the way you exercise, now has an impact on how much money you earn. And it's not a negative, it's just worth noting, because I really believe with singing in particular, because it is our body, it's a lifestyle choice. So, for example, if you want to be a soloist and you have that athlete mentality, that really is, I mean, that's just how you are anyway in life. You think about the marginal gains, about improving. You don't mind going to a party wearing earplugs and changing the way you speak so you don't lose your voice because you're thinking about a performance in a few days. Then maybe you're built for this. However, if just losing it at the weekend with your friends is a huge part of your identity or your idea of fun, then this job will be very, very difficult. It just won't align with who you are. There'll be some big sacrifices, and you can do it, but maybe there's another way. And at the moment, I know a lot of singers. Well, this is something that all singers should know anyway. Singers do loads of other stuff. Yeah, their websites will tell you that they only do that. I only create. It's not true. We all do all sorts of things. And the reason I wear all my things publicly is because I think it should be known, rather than, there's a goal to reach. Because you can work at a high level for a portion of your life. And I think for a lot of people nowadays, that's better. I actually think they might make better music because it's not their everything.
No, yeah, literally. No,
Yeah.
100%. I think, no, I completely agree with that. I do. How how have you found? Because I know that like I feel like a lot of people just think with opera singers it's very much like, oh, all they need to do is have a good voice. But how have you found it with all the changes that you might have to make to your life and stuff like that, and the way that you speak and stuff like that? How have you found it to like sort of be when it comes to like your personal life with your work life?
Whoa. Massive. Yeah. And the only reason I say it's massive is because I think, like a lot of singers, I spent a decade being confused. In short, I think it's manageable if you know the parameters. What's difficult is there is a whole industry that is built on training you, endlessly training you. And when you're young, you don't necessarily know who is right for you and who isn't. And one of the issues with your voice is, unlike an instrument, to upgrade an instrument, you can get some money and upgrade. With your voice, it's linked to how you feel, your muscles, everything else you're doing. So if you do something wrong for years, you're looking at untraining and then training again. And psychologically, it gets very, very tough. So where I am now is a really good place because I have perspective. I've been doing it for a while, and I've just got a little boy. He was actually very, very young when I did the Opera Up Close contract, and there's nothing like having something beyond yourself to suddenly make what you do seem a little more objective. And viewing singing more objectively it's much, much easier. So for me personally, I don't think about I need to have this much water. I mustn't talk like that. I like to embody things into my lifestyle. Then I'm not stressing. So, for example, with water, which is a big thing, I've just looked at the science and I've looked at what's worked for me. And I did a little test for a week. And I know that roughly I need to drink this much every day. And then I don't need to worry about it. With foods, I eat a really healthy diet, but I enjoy food. So if in a rehearsal I've had a curry, my body systems are working well enough that it's not going to screw me over. I'm like, yeah, fine. I mean, if I have beer and curry every day, obviously that's going to have a bad effect. It would on anyone with acid reflux. And the same with being physically fit. You know, I don't think I'll get show ready. I think I'd like to be this fit and healthy in my life for all the amazing reasons. And that we're not talking aesthetics here. We're talking, you know, being healthy inside. Yeah. And so I strive for that. I must say, with all these things, it's very virtuous and very grand, everything I'm saying. It's a constant work in progress. I'm not saying I've got the answers. It's just where I'm at now. It's a much better solution than all the neurotic things that singers do. Yeah.
What was sort of, I don't know if you heard that, my computer went off. I was just gonna say, what was sort of the first, I know you said that like when you first got into your career you landed quite a big role. What was sort of the first big steps, do you think, in your career that sort of landed you where you are today, do you think?
Oh, interesting. It that question always makes me go, but I haven't made it. The interesting thing about this question is, to someone, you and I, Abby, are famous. To someone else, we're a speck. You know, to them, it's all relative. That's the big thing. So, I'd say with this, well, two things. Number one, whatever journey you're on, if you decide to go down this operatic journey or in my own, you have to really love the next step. And then when you get it, you get the reward. You know, being on a conveyor belt or seeming like you're in a system and, you know, eventually it'll come, it's hard to sustain that. So you have to love the steps, each one. Your first tiny role in this, your first of anything, you just have to love it. And the second thing is, I think this is probably my neurodivergence now, but I've always been someone that's been quite direct, and I've never understood why formality would stop you asking. So with my first like roles in things, I think I got them because I asked, or just let someone know, I'm really into this. I can do this. You're doing that. What do you reckon? And I think like a really good example of that is it's a bit of a funny story. I was doing this show at Loughborough festival. It was a really small thing, like a young artist thing, which basically means they pay you not much. That's what young artist means in opera, by the way, world, in case you didn't know. And I wanted to go to the Glastonbury festival with all my friends because I'd never been. And it was the last year because people were starting to get married and have kids, and we were like, let's do this. And you only get time off in opera if you're doing other classical things. If you have a funeral, a wedding, they just say no most of the time. OperaUpCloser, I think, is probably different. Yeah, Flora's mint, so she'd probably just be like, of course you can, that's real. So I lied. I said, I've got this massive gig. And they gave me the NA and I could go to Glastonbury. And then I thought, no, I lied. I said I'm performing at Glastonbury.
Ooh.
Yeah, right. I then was like, this is interesting. I Googled the head programmer of Glastonbury and I just sent them an email saying, I'm an opera singer. I've just lied because I want to go to Glastonbury. But just having a look, you've never had an opera singer. It's not something you do, and you should. And I'm the guy, so what do you reckon? And to my surprise, the guy was like, "This is very cheeky. What are you thinking?" And I was like, "Oh my God."
That's
So
so
I
cool.
quickly put a show together, and he was like, "Let's do it." And
That's
then
brilliant.
I ended up performing at Glastonbury, and then again the next year. And it's so simple, isn't it? I had a punk rock idea to do this mad, dark, twisted opera thing at Glastonbury, and he's like, "Yeah, cool." And sometimes it's as easy as that. And with auditions and big roles, sometimes you just got to go in there and do it. I mean, I've been in auditions where I've come out and I thought it's been brilliant because I was just myself, and the company have gone, said to Stephen, my agent, "What was that? Like, why do singers come in and sing all this random crap? I mean, it was just nonsense, And you think, whoa, but there's really good news about that. It means that they're not really into you, so don't knock at that door. But then you go to other places and you do your thing, and people go, I really like it. And then when you get hired, it's you they're hiring. It's not that version of you. So with that kind of big step thing, I've had big moments in companies where I've had to like put on the suit and mask up and go, oh God, this isn't really me. But they're like high ticket items. And I've had other things where it's been really me and they've meant more to me. And currently, with my website and things, probably to the people that are involved in my business's dismay, I advertise the things I'm into now, not the things that are, um, the big business.
Yeah.
Sometimes they align, but sometimes they don't.
Well, along the lines of that as well, do you have anything coming up? Are there any projects that you have coming up at the moment? Whether that be something next week or something in the next year, what sort of things are you excited to work towards?
Like I said, I've had a sabbatical, so I've really changed the way I operate. And in short, I'm only singing things now that I want to sing because I'm making money in different ways as well. And it's awesome. So there's two things I'm really excited about. One is I've made a recital called Love is a Spectrum, and it's a response to me having an existential crisis about singing art song about love and flowers when I'm really autistic, and I don't prance about and think of love in that way. I think about it quite differently. So I've made a recital, and rather than go, I need to make new music, I'm singing these sort of quite famous art songs from the perspective of someone who observes that and goes, huh, that's strange, or okay, I've learned that's what you need to do, which is really nice. And it was very scary to do that the first time because I spoke to the audience as well, and I was like, this is what's happening. And I can only describe it as probably the best song recital I've ever done. I felt like people were really listening to every word because probably for the first time I was really, really authentic in performance, and it's something I'm striving for. So I've got a few of those coming up. They're on my website if anybody fancies it. But the other one, which I'm really excited about, is I found a load of letters at the British Library from Indian soldiers who fought in World War One. I didn't know that Indian soldiers fought in World War One, but the short of it is, the Britain at the time sent over the blacks, then the browns, and then their own. And it doesn't mean that the young white men that died are any less heroic, but it would be super cool if history really did speak about the black and the brown guys and girls that went and fought. And it fills me with anger, with rage, with sadness, all this stuff. I was like, let's set this to music. So I applied for a grant, I got that, and it's right now being composed by Cheryl Francis Hode, who's just a mint composer, and we're doing something really radical with it. And I've got a residency for a week in Scotland with my pianist to get this new idea going, and it's going to premiere at the Oxford Song Festival in October. But it's words and poetry of these guys on the front line fighting for the UK. They weren't allowed to be treated in the same hospitals. They were sent out, you get wounded, you're meant to go home. Some of these guys got wounded like 7 times. Their
Mm.
parents are saying, please send my son back, all this sort of stuff. And, oh, the words will break your heart.
So,
So I'm really passionate about it.
mm.
Yeah, it really speaks to me. And it all stemmed from a photo that I saw of my granddad. My granddad was in his Scottish gear, and next to him was an Indian man. I was like, what's that from? It's like
Mm.
World War One. What, the Indians fought in World War One? I had no idea. And then sparked
Mm.
this whole idea. So it's been about 4 years in the making, Abby,
Mm.
and it's happening now. I'm so excited. So that'll be in October. But my plan is I want to do that as many times as possible, and I
Mm.
I also want to record the first CD of it if I can.
No, that sounds so amazing. Is this something that you're hoping is gonna tour across the UK or just like show at one specific place?
So at the moment, it's just showing at the Oxford Song Festival,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's really difficult to get art song stuff.
Mm.
Um, really, really difficult. But I think this is quite new, quite exciting. Cheryl's quite a good name. So
Mm.
if I package it up nicely, hopefully people will
Mm.
take it on. I'd imagine a few will. There's a few places that I sing semi-regularly over the years, and I
Mm.
think they might be interested.
Mm.
Um, but you never know. You never know. But if I just do it once and record it, yeah, I'll be very happy with that.
No, that's so brilliant. Is it all, are you creating a whole new music for it then? You're not using references from anything else. It is very much you're creating it all from scratch. Aside
Yeah.
from obviously using the poems and stuff like that for reference.
Yeah, so the poems are things I collected from the library,
Mm.
and the words, and I made them into a libretto. So that was
Mm.
part of it. The music is brand new. It is
Mm.
being composed right now. It is
Mm.
influenced by things that I've suggested, but
Mm.
Cheryl will do her own thing. We're also going to use really cool tech from guitarists in the punk rock era to make
Mm.
the drones on a grand piano, which is just, for me personally, it's awesome to link that
Mm.
punk rock guitar world with piano. And also my gorgeous pianist Sid and good friend, he's totally up for anything. So we're going to have a pianist doing things like speaking as well
Mm.
whilst playing. And I'm a voiceover artist, so speaking is going to be a feature of this song cycle. So we're not breaking boundaries, but we're certainly not keeping it as traditional. We're really letting this kind of multimedia, more open genre of
Mm.
what a song cycle could be.
Mm.
And maybe decades of singers and pianists will go, God's sake, why did you do that? It's so annoying that I
Mm.
have to do all this faff. Can I not just play and sing?
Mm.
Um, maybe, but I hope that people will enjoy it, and we're making it as well so that it can be played
Mm.
and performed by anyone.
I think the cultural actual meaning behind what you're producing as well is just so incredible. But on top of that as well, it's different. It's
Mm.
different. It's something that you wouldn't usually see with the little bits and pieces that you were talking about. And it's like, I feel like it is those things. It's like, I was speaking to someone about when we did Riders to the Sea and trying to sort of bring it to new audiences. And it's like, you would, when you think of the stereotypical versions of like opera and stuff like that, you wouldn't think of there being projection and like captions on the screens and sort of all of the instrumentalists like stood in between like the singers and stuff like that. Those aren't the sort of things that you'd sort of think of when you first picture like opera in your head. And I
Yeah.
think it's so interesting to be able to go out there and like branch out with creativity and show we can be contemporary, we can merge things together, and we can be different because it reaches so many different people who are into different things.
Yeah, you're speaking my language. I call myself a contemporary baritone now,
Mm.
and that has massive connotations with a certain very large population of the operatic world.
Mm.
But the definition of contemporary just means of now,
Mm.
and I can't. Again, maybe it's my autistic brain, but I can't fathom why someone wouldn't want to see something of
Mm.
now. When I watch a Netflix series and it says based on a true story, you're like, I am in. This is real.
Mm.
But a period show, I'm not sure it has the same
Mm.
appeal. So um, I think opera's got some catching up to do with that, because Riders to the Sea was brand new in so many ways, but when you look at musical theatre and plays, I mean, they've been doing this for decades already. Riders to the Sea, it was brand new, but it shouldn't be.
No.
It should be a part of, and I'm sure critics, there are people that love every show and people that don't like every show. And I'm sure, I heard somebody say about Riders to the Sea, I loved it, but the only problem is, that's not an accurate representation of opera. So when they go and watch something else, I was like, even though you loved it, you still have this preconception. Well, the good news is, if you loved it, well, people will make more of it. OperaUpCloser are going to do another show.
Yeah.
There you go. There's one more show for you to watch. Because you watch Shakespeare now. It's hardly ever traditional.
I feel like it's hard for people to break the norms, but I mean, I took some people to the show and they were very much like, because when I told them it was opera, and then especially it was like mainly my parents, like I told them it was opera, and obviously they had this image in their head and they kind of went and they were like, it was great and the singers were absolutely amazing, but I just was not expecting that, like, at all. It was just like so out of the box, and I was like, yeah. So I feel like with a lot of our shows, it is very much like reaching outside of the box, and it's actually getting people to try out new things and getting people to say, hey, like, we are behind in this sort of like era of like using contemporary art and stuff like that. Let's like try and get people to come and watch our shows and try and bring opera that next level. And it's actually people making that first step of thinking, okay, I'm going to go in with an open mind and I'm going to sort of see what this is like, and sort of not knowing what to expect beforehand.
Yeah. I'm glad that your parents enjoyed it. Yeah, I think that reaction was quite common with Riders to the Sea. The other thing I think that's nice with Opera Up Close is, I know a lot of people watch the live streams from the Met and the Opera House and things, and they do it because, in their own words, they can hear it and see it better. And I know what it's like to sit in the cheap seats at the Royal Opera House, Royal Ballet and Opera now it's called. Man, sometimes it can be crap, just boring, because it's just this wash of sound, or even the Royal Albert Hall. And unfortunately, we're all so used with digital screens to being able to see something exceptional really close, and I can't see the world changing from that. So seeing something up and real, and being able to actually see expression, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I would much rather go and watch that than a really big grand opera these days.
Definitely.
And everyone's different. I know some people love the spectacle and the feeling of it, and horses for courses, but when you're interested in the genre, I kind of want to see as much detail and hear as much of it as I can, really.
I mean, that's so true. I mean, my dad would very much prefer, he absolutely loves opera. He's very much like, I will go and watch someone stand in the middle of a stage for 5 hours straight and sing, and that's it. Whereas like my mum is very much like more, she prefers like musicals and like visuals and storylines and stuff like that. So it's sort of, I guess, merging the two together, it's just incredible. I love it. But going back, but with Riders to the Sea, what do you think, and working with Opera Up Close in general, I guess, what sort of experience did you have with us? What would you sort of describe the work that you did with us and sort of your overall experience working with us in general?
Well, I think like the audience experience it, it's not a totally accurate view of opera. I'd say the rehearsal process is similar. It's a very small team. I mean, the cast was very small, and you're working in an extremely detailed way. It's really satisfying in the rehearsal process to have that detail. On the opposite end, there's go in, 4 steps over there and sing that over there. I mean, and that doesn't happen so much these days, but there are definitely elements of it everywhere. But I think also personally for me, it was extra because I also had this huge life event. I had a tiny baby that'd just been born. I've never been a dad before, and my gorgeous little boy, he doesn't sleep. So
Mm.
I was managing this really intense, amazing rehearsal experience and also not sleeping and finding a balance of
Mm.
how much do I need to give this lump,
Mm.
but also I need to be able to work. And it was wild. I think it's the wildest show I've ever done to date.
Mm.
Absolutely wild. And in some ways, the art and my life just merged. You know,
Mm.
I'd moved to Southampton for the thing by the sea. It was really wet and windy. The
Mm.
show was wet and windy and dramatically intense. And
Mm.
I think most people went home and had a glass of wine and had some food. And I went home and had an entire night of looking after this baby.
Mm.
It was just totally bonkers. But
Mm.
I think in another production, I may have not made it.
Mm.
But yeah, it's a very friendly team. I really love the show. I mean, I had a piece basically composed for me at the start.
Mm.
It was incredible. You know, it was
Mm.
absolutely incredible. I mean, I did sort of laugh at the gods at one point and go, "You've given me this opportunity at the same time as my baby. Like, couldn't I have had this 6 months before, 6 months after?" But it's how it is. It's how it
Mm.
is. And one show I will never forget, and I think I actually enjoyed it the most with hindsight, was we had a lot of stuff going in the shows with electronics and tech. And I don't know if you were there, Abby. I can't remember where it was.
Is this Blackpool's one? Is this the last one?
No,
Or
no. Blackpool was awesome because we had the Sunday
oh,
Boys
Sunday
join
Boys.
us.
Yep.
But this was it Oxford, Cambridge? Oh, I can't remember. We did so many shows. There was a point where there was a bang at the start,
Mm.
and the backing track, click track, stopped.
Oh my lord. Yeah, no, I
And
definitely wasn't there for that
no,
one.
and it stopped. And I
Mm.
sort of instinctively knew, I was like, this is going to carry on. But for those that don't know it, the opening scene is a sort of 18-minute cantata with
Mhm.
me singing and this heavily recorded track with the countertenors and the Sunday Boys, and then
Mhm.
the band play to click.
Mhm.
And there's light cues and all sorts. And it stopped about 4 minutes in. And they didn't start it again because something in the desk had blown. So it wasn't an opera up close problem, it was a theatre problem.
Mhm.
And they couldn't fix it. So for 12 minutes in total silence, I sang about my existential crisis and wanting to take my own life, and then
Mm.
finally talking to a moon who was not there.
Mm.
So I'm talking to this moon. There was a part of me that actually, in the moment, went, "Are you going to sing falsetto and be the moon as well?" I thought, I can't risk this. And the band were trying their best to join in.
Mm.
And you know what? I mean, the audience had no idea. They
Mm.
really had no idea. No one knew any different.
Mm.
But it was a real moment where I thought, I'm losing my mind
Mm.
with what's going on. I'm so overwhelmed. But then I just relaxed into it and went, art has become art. Like,
Mm.
this is intense. Like, this is not just dramatically, like, performer intense. This is real life, mega intense. And, that was the show where Michael, the composer, was in, and his whole
Mm.
family and all his friends as well. It's just so wild. But
Oh.
but I live for it. I absolutely
Mm.
live for it. When people go and watch One Direction live, they're not like, "Do you remember that show that went pretty well?" They
Mm.
love the bit where the guitar string broke and it
Yeah,
still went on. Always the best bits.
I feel like that's
Um,
the beauty of touring as well. Like, nobody ever really gets the same experience
no.
because they're at different venues and stuff like that. I mean, you can always do productions. Say that we're doing a couple nights at like the Mars Mayflower Studios. Obviously, some nights can be different to others, but I feel like the beauty of touring is the fact that there's so much different settings and there's different cultures and different people,
Yeah.
and you're less likely to hear it on word of mouth and stuff like that as well. So it's very much everyone gets like their own different experience going to see a show, and I think
Yeah.
that that is the beauty of like touring theatres as well. This has been such a brilliant conversation with you, and this has been so insightful on just opera singers and all the other work that you do as well. What sort of thing would you recommend to people starting off in their career? What sort of thing would you tell them who want to get into the industry and stuff like that now?
Oh, right. Well, firstly, I tell them take everything I say with a pinch of salt. I am, one tiny, tiny little speck in it. But I suppose if I was to go back and sort of speak to younger Neil, I'd say all these tutors and all these guides are really well meaning, but live in your core when you make these decisions about anything. It's so easy to get swept up with the tide, and then you don't think it when you're young, but 5, 10 years later, you do stop and go, is that what I wanted to do? What, did I actually want that at the end? So really spend some time thinking about what it would be like in like dreamy aspirational terms, but also in the technically what does it look like? Can I actually email someone and say, how much do you earn when you've made it? These things are really important. These are things that I did a little bit later on, and they're eye-opening because, if someone says, oh, by the way, opera singers earn 100K a year, you're like, well, I'm in. If they tell you that they earn 10, you're like, oh, okay. And
Yeah.
and that matters. It's not dirty. It really matters. It matters to everyone because, yeah, I mean, you might have a child. That changes it, or you just might be someone that needs a certain level to feel comfortable. So I'd say live in your core, and the other bit of advice I'd give them is all the things that your colleagues around you don't do, but you're very good at, own those. The first reaction of some people around you, especially at lower levels, might even be negative about it. Might even be, "Oh, it's not relevant." Weirdly, when you get up the rungs and you start getting to a level where you are a professional and they want you, those bits are desirable. And if you've kept them alive, you've done them, and they've grown in quality like everything else, you've then got these amazing set of skills. And it can literally be web design or circus skills. It doesn't matter. As long as you can do it well, just own it. It's so interesting to have people who combine what they're interested in with their vocation as well. So I'd say those things. Oh, and never be embarrassed about music that you listen to. You don't have to listen to the latest classical records and love it if you're a classical musician, and vice versa. Like, everybody listens to everything. Even if it's not cool. Like, now I suppose like being a Swiftie might have a certain coolness to it or whatever, but even at the height of it, if it's not, like it. If you like grime that's just horrendous on the ears for children, then that's your thing as well. It's not an issue. Just own it.
Thank you so much, Neil. That was so lovely, and this whole conversation has just been so great. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure, Abby. It's been lovely to speak to you and see you again.
I'll see you again soon.
All right then.